Hello, welcome to the Paul White Show. We're glad you tuned in today. You know, we kind of been off a while, but we're back now, so you need to call a neighbor or friend and tell them, hey, the Paul White Show is back. We're going to try to bring you up to snuff on what's going on outdoors. We're going to visit with an in-studio guest, talk about the local lakes and the fishing forecast for this year. We're going to go to a commercial break. We'll be right back. You stay tuned. Welcome back to the Paul White Show. We're glad you tuned in this morning. I mentioned I did have an in-studio guest before the break, and my studio guest today is Mark Murrow from Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks. Good morning, Mark. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Paul?
All right. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Mark, what's going on now? I know we got a new system going on with licensing and stuff, and it's a lot of changes this year at Kansas Wildlife and Parks. Bring us up to snuff on what's going on.
Yeah, our licensing system has always, worked fairly flawlessly until we had to switch vendors and equipment, and everything got switched out this spring. And we thought it'd be a fairly, pain-free process, and it turns out that wasn't the case. We had some problems with equipment, problems with getting equipment to certain locations, getting these machines up and running, and so we've hit a bit of a speed bump in trying to bring convenience to these people that are trying to get their licenses here in the spring.
Right. There's a lot of vendors, and all of us are not back up yet selling license, but people can still purchase a license or get a license if they want to go fishing right now till we get the bugs out of the system.
Right. We'd hope to have everybody up in less than a week, and that wasn't the case, Paul. We've probably got 600 licensed vendors across the state. About a third of them are up and running. All of our regional offices, state park offices, those places are running. Some of the other vendors in and around Wichita and some of the major metropolitan areas have got vendors. So I think we've got about a third of them up and running. There are other options for people if they just want to get a hunting or fishing license. They can jump on their computer and still do it that way. The biggest change that we've got this year as far as the online system goes is that you can't purchase anything that requires a tag or a permit, like a deer or a turkey permit. Now you do have to go into a licensed vendor to get those. You can't print those off on your home computer anymore. But we're trying to get things up. We ran into some problems that we didn't quite anticipate, and trying to get those up and running. But everybody's been pretty good about it, trying to get this going. It's a convenience thing. Usually you can just sit down at your desk at home and order your license and be good to go. And the nice weather we've had has kind of compounded our problems. Everybody's wanting to get out and that, so we're trying to get everybody fixed out so they enjoy Kansas outdoors. Right.
Yeah, it's going to work a lot smoother once we get everything up and running. It'll be a lot easier to get a license. I was going to mention too, we had, speaking of getting a license, going fishing, getting your bait. Last year, the system had we had an extra sheet of paper we used to give anglers, with the species of bait that they had on there, to try to control the mussels in our lakes and stuff. So they had to have that piece of paper with them if they got stopped, to prove where they bought their bait, that they bought their bait from a certified vendor, and that slip proved that the bait was not contaminated with mussels or anything like that. I noticed they cut that out this year, the paperwork. Any particular reason they cut it out?
Well, we're trying to make it easier for anglers to do that. That receipt, you had to keep that receipt with you to prove where that bait came from. Our aquatic nuisance species, the invasive species that we have now, could be detrimental to our fisheries. So we're working on that, trying to make that simpler for anglers. The moving of bait from one place to another. We can't allow that, and we're responsible for the overall health of our fisheries. So we're trying to keep that as clean as possible, and that's the reason we've had to implement some of these new rules and regulations as far as our aquatic nuisance species. These zebra mussels and things, they're not getting up and walking from one lake to another, so they're going on boats, they're going in bait buckets, and that. So we've got some things that basically you use your bait where you catch it if you get your own. And then we've always recommended to buy it from a reputable bait dealer.
Right.
And that was the reason for having the receipt in years past. So.
And just because you don't have to have the receipts, the rules are still in place for, like you mentioned, washing your boat. Don't take it from one lake to another. Don't take the water out of one lake and go dump it in another lake.
Right.
You know, and cleaning up your buckets and
bait buckets, live wells, bilges. You know, you got to pull the plug on your boat when you take it out of a lake. You can't take bait buckets or water from one body of water to another. Any of that anymore. The last couple of years, that's been the case, and basically that's to prevent the transfer of things like zebra mussels, you know, because people can't see veliger zebra mussels, which are almost microscopic. So in a bait bucket, there could be hundreds and hundreds of those, and they dump them in another lake, and they've in turn transferred those to another lake. White perch are another big one. You know, small white perch, people can't tell what they are from gizzard shad, and so, you know, we tell people use it. You know, if you're going to catch your own bait, use it where you catch it. Don't take it anywhere. Bait buckets have to be dumped out as soon as you leave the water. You can't take water, live fish, or anything from any of our A&S waters. Right.
Yeah, I think the program was successful in far as getting the awareness out of contaminating from lake to lake to lake. So hopefully that'll stay in the angler's mind, and they will be reminded of that every time they go fishing, you know, where they won't transfer them from lake to lake, because most of the lakes, a lot of them got them in them now, and that's how they got them there.
Right.
All right, Mark, we're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back. You're watching The Paul White Show. Welcome back to the Paul White Show. We're visiting with Mark Murrow from the Kansas Department of Wildlife. Mark, what's the fishing forecast look like this year?
Well, it's pretty good, Paul. You know, we had a few years of drought there several years ago, but a lot of our area waters, reservoirs, small bodies look pretty good. And you know, people just need a reason to go. This warm weather's got people out. You know, our community fisheries assistance program, we've got a great urban catfish program where we stock every couple of weeks from spring until fall in many of these metro areas. You know, you mentioned the trout program. The trout program's going strong. It's going to kind of wrap up here once that water temperature warms up. Trout can't over summer here in Kansas, but that's always a popular event, you know, when people can get out and go trout fishing. So we've got a lot of great hatcheries, a lot of great fisheries biologists that are working hard to make it so when people do go out, they're successful catching fish, and they have a good time when they head to some of our area waters.
You know, those trout that are left in there, do they survive if we don't get too drastic with the heat too quick on them?
Not really, Paul. There's one spot down in the strip pits in the Mine Land Wildlife Area in southeast Kansas that has enough oxygen at a deep enough level that stays cold where they can over summer. But other than that, if anglers don't catch them, take them home, they become herring bait, raccoon bait, you know, whatever. They're going to die. That water temperature just gets too hot and holds too little oxygen. So we don't over summer any of our trout. So that's why we go from October to April.
Okay. Well, yeah, fishing looks pretty good. A lot of anglers are getting out early, and they're looking for bait that you normally don't have this time of year to catch fish with. But and then I have questions of the lake's gonna get fished out. You know, it's so many people fishing it, but there is no way they can fish those lakes out the way the Wildlife and Park stocks them. It's no way that they're gonna fish them out. There's plenty fish in there, so don't not go fishing just because you think the lake's gonna get fished out. They might just not be biting the day you go, or you might be using the wrong type of bait to catch certain fish with, but they're never going to get fished out.
Right. Yeah, we've got regulations, creel limits, and length limits on many of our lakes, and you know, to keep that from happening. And then, you know, fish are like Doritos; they'll make more. You know, we've got some great hatcheries. Fish are pretty good on their own in some species of reproduction, and so in Kansas we're pretty fortunate that we've got a lot of good opportunities for many different kinds of species of fish in the state.
Right. I noticed I've been. The Eagle has been putting in a timetable for the best times for people to catch fish. I don't. I imagine this pretty accurate. I don't know. The table that they used to have in there, you couldn't read it, so they simplified the table to tell people when to go fishing, approximately when to go, and they advise them to fish an hour earlier than what they say and an hour later than what they say. So it gives you a chance to catch. I guess they go by the pressure and the barometric pressure and all of this type of stuff. They got a formula that they use to figure out when the fish should be biting.
Yeah, and the moon phases, the lunar tables have always been popular with people, and that's, I guess that's great in a perfect world, you know, if you can pick and choose when you can go fishing. But as far as I'm concerned, any time's a good time to go fishing, no matter what the moon or sun's doing, barometric pressure, you know. If you can go, you got time, I'd say go. I've had great trips when it's not supposed to be good and vice versa. So, you know, it's any time to go fishing's a good time.
Right. I guess we need to also make sure we take our kids fishing with us when we go fishing. That's how we get more anglers fishing and more kids introduced to the fishing program, you know. Otherwise, they're not going to learn how to fish unless we take them fishing. So I would definitely advise parents to take their kids fishing with them, you know, when they go fishing. And also, I know at Wildlife and Park, once a year, they usually have the fishing clinics where you can bring your kid. They furnish the poles and all of this. Usually the application is in the Eagle, and that should be coming up this season for people to watch out, I guess, for those registration forms, so they can register their child to take them. I know there's a lot of single-parent children that don't know anything about fishing. That's a golden opportunity for them to take them and get them some supervision on how to learn how to rig and how to fish.
The Walk with Wildlife, the Wichita Eagle kind of pairs with us, and out there at that pond, they take kids. Many of them catch their first fish that day. So it's a great event that's coming up here in May, and then keep an eye on the Eagle for that. And there's a lot of programs within Wildlife and Parks. We've got people all over the state that do similar type programs with fishing clinics and that, trying to get youth exposed to some of these outdoor opportunities we have.
They've been talking about blues in Kansas. I guess that's getting to be a popular fish now. So they're thinking about putting some restraints on the sizes of them you can catch, so we can get some big ones. I know they had a picture of in the newspaper of a 65-pounder, I believe it was, that somebody caught out of Milford. And so they are trying to put some limits on them so we can get more larger fish, and a lot of people are migrating to Kansas because of some of the blues that are in the lakes.
It's probably the fastest growing segment of our fishing population right now, and particularly at Milford on a weekend you'll have 50 or 60 boats up there trying to catch blue cats, and historically that's the lake that's had them in it the longest, so we do have some huge fish. I mean, up to 80-90 pounds in that particular body of water. But other ones, Coffee County, Melbourne, El Dorado, closest to Wichita here, has blue cats as well. And there's certain regulations. Typically when they start, there's a minimum length limit of like 35 inches, but now El Dorado's gone to a 25 to 35 slot, so everything in between there has to go back. You can only have one over 35, but you can have your other fish under that length limit. So 20 to 24 inch blue cats are plentiful in El Dorado.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. That's good to know in El Dorado. The walleye population this year, have you guys did anything with the walleye population as far as the length? How's the creel and the length on those now? I think last year Cheney was one of the premier walleye lakes last year. Whatever happened to that? That still stand?
It's still good. I mean, Cheney and El Dorado have more restrictive creel and length limits. They're 2 fish and 21 inches in both of those reservoirs, and trying to combat the white perch, that an invasive species that are in there. And so as a result, they implemented those regulations. And those 2 lakes, you know, trophy wise, are a great place to go, and you've got an excellent chance to catch 4, 5, 6, 7 pound walleye with some regularity at both of those places. We've had some other changes in our walleye regulations, you know, just try and create better opportunities and you know, kind of spread things out for people in some of these other lakes.
Now, when they catch white perch, they don't want them thrown back.
No, you can't possess white perch alive, so
Right.
you can't put them in your live well, bait buckets, any of that. You know,
Right.
kill them, pitch them back if you're not going to keep them. But the good news is, white perch in both El Dorado and Cheney are a size now that people can clean and eat them. And,
Yep.
and they're, if you eat white bass, crappie, any of those types of fish, you should be eating white perch as well. So you can take those home, utilize them. If you don't, you know, just you can kill them, pitch them back. Or, you know, you can go take them home, throw them under a tomato plant in your garden, and they're great fertilizer. But, yeah, we don't want those things going anywhere else.
Right, right. Okay, we're going to take another short commercial break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Paul White Show. We're glad you tuned us in today. We've been visiting with Mark Murrow from KDWP. We're going to switch hats right now and talk a little bit about lawn and gardening. This year we've had not so much moisture, so it's very important that you keep your plants watered, your trees, your shrubs. Even though it looks like they're dead and they're dormant, they're sitting there, they still need a drink of water. They can also be damaged by dry, freeze burns because of lack of moisture. So we need you to get out and water. Also, you just have to watch your weather. You don't want to leave your water hoses hooked up if freeze is predicted, but you need to make sure your plants get plenty of water. Also, the lawn, it's not too early to start watering your lawns at home too. You can get damage your grass and all of this because of lack of moisture. So you need to get out in the lawns and do some work. We've had some excellent days for watering and also spraying your fruit trees above 60-degree temperature. You need to put your dormant oil spray on your fruit trees, your berries, your grapes, if you're growing grapes. All your fruits need to be sprayed with a dormant oil spray to kill the scale and the insects that wintered over. So you need to get that done. You need to get it done before they start blooming. I hope this year we doesn't have a early or pre-bloom because of the way the weather temperatures are, and then we get a hard freeze to damage fruit trees and stuff. So you need to get out and get that done. Things that you can plant right now. You know, you should get your soil ready for your garden. If you did not have a chance to do it prior to now, it's an excellent time to get out and add compost and nutrients to your garden soil to get your gardens ready to plant. It is March and you can plant. Start planting now. There's a cold crop can be put in, such as cabbage. You can put in broccoli, lettuce, potatoes, radishes, onions, things like that. You could be planting now spinach, get a little jump on it. Also, you could plant some turnips right now on the season. I think we can cheat a little bit because it seems as though our weather pattern is changing somewhat. And I think you can get away with putting the crop in a little early and maybe extend your gardening season this year. Also, because of the temperatures, I think that the insects are going to be terrible this summer. I'll have to be proven wrong from that, but I think they're going to be terrible. I think a lot of those that normally would die out wintered over this year and are multiplying. So it's going to be a challenging year for gardeners and people in the lawn for as ants and fleas. I know fleas has been prevalent on dogs, all animals, all pets, all winter long. So I've had people coming in the store that still putting up with fleas. So make sure you get your lawns treated for fleas, and there's a lot of products on the market. I noticed the products on the market are also getting a lot user friendly. They're putting a lot of them in sprays where you just hose in, where you just attach them to your water hose and go out and spray your lawn or spray your trees or spray whatever needs to be sprayed to control insects and diseases. So look for those products in your stores or in your nurseries that are more user friendly, so you don't have to put up with putting them in a spreader and calibrating the spreader, you know, to get it on at the right amount. Also, you can plant perennials, flowers. It's time to start in your flower beds. I notice tulips and daffodils are coming up now. Some of them are blooming out, and they're getting a good start. Bradford pear trees, crab apples, they are all leafing out right now. So it looks like we're on the way to spring. In fact, it's just right around the corner. So we want to advise you, if you're needing any help doing any of these, visit your local nurseries or the county extension agency to find out what you need to be doing out in your lawns and stuff to have a nice lawn. You know, we put a lot of hard work in it, so we might as well know what we're doing so we could be prosperous with it, with our outdoor lawns and stuff. Also, there are a lot of classes going on that you can check with the county extension agency that teach you how to do it. Also, you need to take a kid out and learn a child how to garden, how to grow. We're losing that part of, that's a big generational gap there. A lot of younger people are not interested in gardening or growing crops or growing food. I'm a believer in what goes around comes around. Back in the day, we used to have to grow all our food and raise all our crops and stuff. So it's a good time to get them interested in it when they're young, teaching them how to garden, how to grow stuff, how to survive off of the land. Also, it's a time to put out your pre-emergent in your lawn. A crabgrass preventer can be installed in your lawn. You could give it a shot of fertilizer, but remember it's dry, so you need to follow that with a good watering out in your lawn when you do that to make your lawn green and prosperous also. It's time to get that lawnmower out and make sure your blades are sharpened, oil changed in them, and get ready because spring is just around the corner. You know, we'd like to thank you today for watching the Paul White Show. I'd like to thank my guest, Mark Murrow from the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Park for being here today. And if you have any questions, just contact Wildlife and Park about licensing and stuff, or you can contact P&P Seed and Bait Company at 1901 East 21st Street. Thanks for watching this segment, and we'll see you next week, same time, same station on the Paul White Show.